Everyone to this week's spring training session number 2, where we're going to go over Pure Insights. I'll be speaking on Pure Insights in a capability format, like what Pure Insights is capable of doing, and then Justin will go over how you can use Pure Insights with dealers. Quick intro. My name is Fernando Sardinhas. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the Director of Product Management here at Pure Cars. Been going on 9 years with Pure Cars. I'm loving every minute of it. It's very interesting and love my job. You'll see here, this is my son Noah. He makes an appearance in the Wall of Happy channel here and there. But yeah, 9 years and loving it. Justin, if you want, intro
Uh,
yourself.
Adorable, man, adorable. I can't wait till my son is that age and isn't crying anymore and spitting up on me. But as hopefully most of you all know, Senior Director of Client Experience here at Pure Cars. Been with Pure Cars, if you count Showroom Logic days, probably like 10 years now. And that's me and my daughter Sophie, who is obsessed with Halloween, because I'm raising her right. And she is the reason why I probably have less energy than I used to, guys. I know I used to be fun. I'm sorry, I'm not that guy anymore. Um, all right. So moving on.
All right, so this is just to show where we are in terms of spring training. Last week we started with Aaron and the auto miner. Today we are going with Pure Insights.
Great.
Justin.
So I'm gonna take my fellow pure Cartonians on a field trip in history to the before times. Okay. And for some of you guys who are newer or maybe weren't around to see the original like smart advertising dashboard or the zip-driven market platform, these were two really great platforms that probably call it like pre-COVID we utilized to help service our dealers. And why they were really great, there were systemic issues with them both, around like what each of them could do and the fact that they didn't speak to each other, right? So like Zip Driven, um, everyone knows me really well. I love this platform. It was originally developed by Showroom Logic, and then we got it when two companies came together. Uh, Use registration data from Experian. It helped you answer the compared to what question, right? The market share conversation that we have with our dealers today. Zip Driven is where that all began. It had really cool things that you can do with it, like you can create multiple different types of custom markets inside the Zip Driven platform to be able to like allow your dealers to visualize their markets the way they need to visualize it for where they actually sell cars, as well as it had a really cool section that allowed us to view conquest data. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because I got a pretty cool thing to show you guys at the end of this call, and a pretty cool update thanks to Fernando and the team. They've been grinding really hard. And then on the other side of the things, the smart advertising dashboard. And like probably the most like the thing that is the most true that I've heard throughout my entire career is what Aaron said last month or last week on spring training number one. And that is like storytellers control the world. Right. And so I believe that more than anything. And like the smart advertising story is really like the DNA of pure cars, right? If you take a step back, call it like 2009, 2010, when marketing automation was really taking over the automotive industry. Everybody was coming up with this technology where they would sync with your inventory feed and create ads for every single car on your lot. And it was a really cool sales pitch. And when Pure Cars entered the game, like they thought of they had that same capability. We can do that for our customers today. But do we need that every an ad for every single car in our lot, right? Do Are you merchandised properly to have ads for that car, right? How are you priced compared to your market, right? Is that inventory in demand or is it not in demand? Like, do we need to spend as much money on that car or any at all? Right? That merchandising conversation, smart advertising is where that all began, as well as smart advertising brought in the DMS data, which allowed you to see real-time information, right? So dealers can visually see that month where their car sales were happening in their market. However, like I said, it didn't have registration data. So you can see that I sold this many cars in that zip code, but you wouldn't know if that's good or bad because you couldn't see what the market was doing in that zip code, right? So each of them did two really separate things great, but they didn't speak to each other. And it created an issue where we had to go between different platforms to answer a simple question. And last piece on this is they weren't really easily adaptable for the future of automotive advertising. So that brings us to Pure Insights, and I'll kick it back over to you, Fernando.
All right, thank you. So before I switch over into Pure Insights, I did want to touch on some of the major data sources that we have that fuel Pure Insights. Things like analytics, GA4, Microsoft Ads, dealers DMS data, Google Ads, third-party data, whether it's market or inventory data, the Auto Miner, Meta, Amazon Ads, DV360, and so much more. We're in a place where, with the help of our engineering team, we can quickly connect to any new data source, and Pure Insights just as easily visualizes and displays that data to our users in a way that provides the insights that you're looking for. Let's dive into Pure Insights. Before I go into any actual reports, I did want to touch on the account selection page since it's been enhanced a bit over the past year. This is where users choose which dealership or group they want to analyze. This is designed to support multi-rooftop groups, so users can toggle between different locations or view consolidated data across multiple stores. When a user first logs in, this is what they see. And if it's a user that's been using PI for a bit, then they'll notice that the accounts at the top of this list are all have a blue gradient, and that indicates the most recently accessed accounts by that user, with the most recent one at the very top. This was done to make it easy to jump back into an account that you've been working on instead of having to search for that account all over again. Speaking of search, we do obviously have a search bar, and you can of course search by dealer name. But sometimes when you search by dealer name, it doesn't really tell you. It doesn't make it easy to pick the account that you're looking for. So in this case here, you'll see there are way too many classic Chevrolets in our database. They're all real, but there's just way too many of them. So it's difficult to tell which one you're actually looking for. Now, the next thing we did here is we displayed dealers groups as a subtext here to make it easier to find the one that you're looking for. But again, in this scenario, if the classic Chevrolet you're looking for isn't part of a group, then you have one, two, three, four to choose from, and that doesn't make it easy. So we took it a step further, and since all of the data here is sourced from Salesforce, dealer IDs, dealer names, everything from Salesforce is in here. You can also search by dealer ID. So in this case, they are 17300. And then we'll see that you'll see that we've updated the subtext from the dealer's group name to the dealer ID that belongs to each of the dealer. That way you can see that you are selecting the correct one. So just a few enhancements to the account selection screen that we've made this past year. Now, once you've selected your account, this is the first report that you'll see, the Pure Insights Overview Report. This is the starting point for Pure Insights. It provides a high-level summary of dealership performance. It combines key marketing, sales, and operational metrics into a single view. Based on initial feedback, we've provided what we believe to be the most important metrics towards the top of this report. But of course, as you scroll, you'll see plenty more metrics appear. Advertising spend mix, shopper data, conversion data, inventory, top opportunities by model, shopper funnel, sales and service performance, and more. Now, some widgets will be blank. It all depends on what a dealer signed up for or if they are providing the data that we're looking for here. Scrolling back to the top, each of these, what we call widgets or what you might call tiles, they are unique to the data source that is fueling them, and that dictates what features are available for each tile. I want to go over those for a bit. The first one that you'll see, and the majority of widgets do support, is making the widget full screen. When you click on that, it makes the widget full screen. This helps with taking higher quality screenshots for a deck, or if you want to make sure that the focus is on these data points during a call. It's just there to make those things a little easier. This next one is the tooltip icon. This explains the data that you're seeing in the widget and where it's sourced from. This is the pinning pinning icon. This gives you the ability to save it to a personalized report that Justin will go over in a little bit. And then the other feature is to see more details of that widget. When you click on this one, so every widget is fueled by another more detailed report, and when you click on that, it'll take you to that specific report. And in every report will show you a different set of widgets. In this case, we're just going more detailed into sales instead of like, one sales number. It'll go into just higher detail for it. And you'll notice that we have more kinds of widgets, including this chart widget, which also gives you the ability to compare metrics. This case, we have ad spend, and you can compare it to, let's say, inventory, and see if the PureCards ad spend is lining up with the dealer's inventory over time. Now, each report will have these features in the top right, with the first one being the ability to schedule the report that you're looking at. When you click on that, you're given the ability to name your report, what time of day you want the report sent to you or to your dealers, the interval, whether it's daily, weekly, or monthly, the time zone in which it should be sent, and then the recipients. Once you fill this out and hit schedule, it'll be added to a list of scheduled reports for you that you can also adjust later. The next feature here is the ability to export to PDF. This is just making it easy we format the report that you're looking for in a way that makes it easily viewable in a PDF, so you can use it however you want, whether you want to email it yourself to a dealer or use it in the middle of a call, whatever you'd like. We just we provide that option for you there. This next one is to print the report. Again, this is just making sure that we are formatting the report you're looking at in a way that's print friendly, in case a dealer wants to, use paper and print the report for some reason. This next one is the ability to apply filters. Every report has obviously many data sources. That's one of the good things about Pure Insights, the ability to join all these data sources into single reports. And based on the data that we are providing to you in the report, that dictates what filters are available for the report. In this case, you can choose between different market distances, the condition of the vehicles, the make of the vehicles, and vehicle year. And lastly, we have the ability to select a date range, of course. Right now it's set to last month, but you have all these options. And if none of these predefined options work for you, you can always select custom. I'm not sure if you can see the pop-up, but there is a custom option here when you want to change the date range. And you have the ability to also add a comparison. So if we compare last month to the previous month, then every widget and chart on the report that you're looking at gets updated to show the date range that you initially selected and the period that you're comparing it against. So you'll see here, sales are up 20%, 963 versus 805, and the chart itself has the line chart for the current period versus the last period. And when you hover over a specific date, it'll show you the comparison metrics for that as well. Disable that for now. Okay, I'll go into a few of the reports. Start with advertise. So as the report states, this is the advertise reports where we join all platforms into this single report, so you could see in a single view how all these platforms are performing. And each report has the same features. Some don't give you a detailed report because this is as detailed as they can go, but this is all the data that's available to you. And for any specific platform or channel that you're looking for, like search, we have those reports available for you as well. That goes into even more details. And you'll notice that we have a lot of maps in Pure Insights. These maps support several things. We have most data at the zip code level, and depending on the report that you're looking at, that'll dictate the metrics that you're viewing for each zip code. In this case, we have search metrics, impressions, clicks, spend, population, and income. And you can zoom in or out wherever you like. I'll dig into maps a little more when we go into the next reports. But yeah, a lot of these reports are self-explanatory, and as we add new ones, they'll of course be added to release notes. So make sure to read those so you know which reports are new and what they can do. I will go next into market reports. So the market reports are sourced from third-party data or Polk third-party data, and we are showing. This allows you to filter by custom market areas. I'm going to change it to none, so it's everything. Seem to have an issue with market data for this dealer, but we will dig into that. Thank you, Justin. So when you're using market data, of course, if you're not already aware, there is a lag with market data of about 2 to 3 months. So you need to select at least maybe 6 months to make sure that you're viewing data on the report. So in this case, we will choose. So that's one thing to note as well. When you change the date range for your reports, it could reflect in other reports that you navigate to after the fact. And we know Pure Insights isn't the fastest, but we are constantly improving it and making it go faster and faster wherever we can. It's a lot of data that we load in every single time a report is accessed. So please bear with us. All right, so this is what it would look like. You've got your dealer dot in blue and then all your other competitors in yellow dots within their locations. The darker blue, the darker the blue the zip code is, the more sales there are for that dealer. Well, it depends. It depends on the metric that you've chosen. If you have your sales market data selected, that's the darker shade it is, the more sales there are. But you've got other options in the map to choose from. On top of those options, you also have the ability to add an overlay. Right now, we only support market rank as an overlay, but when you do select it, then you can keep the data that you're interested in, like in this case, sales market data, but also view the market rank for that zip code and your dealer. Down here for the market report, we have market rank, a market rank widget, a top models widget, top postal codes. We just go into detail in all of these in case you want to see more of this, and then lease versus purchase, how this dealer is doing with leases and purchases versus the market. And then for market reports, we also have OEM competitors, which is just more of a focus on the dealer's competitors. So you see a list of all market dealers, and OEM models focuses on specific models, more detail. And then OEM segments focus on the segment of the vehicles. So very, very similar reports. It just depends on what you want to focus on for a presentation or a call. All right. Those are the reports for a single dealer. I do want to show real quick what it looks like for a group. We'll do Flow Auto. We'll call it Flow Auto Group. Try Asbury. Sorry, please bear with me. All right. So for Asbury, if you select, so since we source everything from Salesforce, we get dealers, their parent groups, and their owner groups. So it's a hierarchy of about 3 levels. If you select the parent group, then you get all the dealers below it. If you select an owner group, you get the what we call subgroups and dealers below it. So here in search, for instance, since we've selected Asbury Corporate, we can see all dealers that belong to Asbury Corporate and their groups in one table. And just see all the metrics that you're interested in. But within this same table, you can also select it to see to look at the data by subgroup. Excuse me. So if you're more interested in this kind of level where you want to see how each group is performing instead of each dealer, you select subgroup and you'll see the data for each subgroup. And you also have the ability to see it by franchise or by campaign. There you go. And that's it for my section. So I can pass it over to Justin.
Awesome. Thank you, Fernando. So I am going to cover market reports, but from the perspective of how we should be presenting it to our customers, right? Like how to talk about the data, because I know and I've heard a lot of calls where we cover um where we get kind of stuck in a pretzel of, hey, like bulk data runs behind. I need to see real-time data, right? Um, and so I'm gonna show you guys how to talk about market data in a way where you can avoid that conversation and use this data to be relevant and proactive. Like the only way you can predict the future, guys, is by looking at historical data, right? And then I'm gonna walk you guys through how to do custom reports, but like I'm also gonna ask you for help because I have a customer who I'm seeing their sales trend down and they're pretty concerned and they're asking me to help them identify what the problems could be, right? So I'm gonna tell a story using the custom report. And if there's any reports that you guys like to use to help tell that story that I may or may not already have in the custom report, or I'm gonna pin them and add them, and we're gonna build a custom report and I'm gonna send it to everybody. Sound good? All right, I'm gonna hijack your screen. Do 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 do. Ba, ba, ba. Also really upset. I didn't get a comment about my Todd father jersey in the chat. So yeah, I'm just gonna be grumpy towards everybody all day long because like this is an amazing Rockies jersey, guys. Like, and it's of the Todd father, the greatest first baseman in MLB history. Come on now, one little bit of love. All right, let me see if I can find my chat here. Everybody see my screen? Oh, I can't see the chat. That sucks.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Let me see how I'm trying to see if I can pull up the chat real quick, guys. Give me a second. I want to be able to see this just in case anybody puts anything that I can answer on the spot. Hold music. There we go. There we go. Sweet, 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 sweet. All right, guys. So, under market reports, right? High level overview of the dealership I'm looking at and some things that you need to be aware of when you're navigating market reports, right? If you are looking at other reports in Pure Insights that are maybe last 30 days or month over month or month to date type reports, and then you transition over to the OEM market report, you can get caught in a situation where like you're going to see no data in there, and all you have to do is adjust the time frames, right? Because like we have it set that way so you don't have to keep adjusting the dates across the all the other like reports and tabs that you can go into inside of Pure Insights, right? Um, Other pieces, right? Like Polk data runs about 60 to 90 days behind. So it is not real-time data, and it's also doesn't include fleet data or commercial data. Okay. So because of that, right, you don't want to go to the dealer and use things like this is exactly where you are right now. This is exactly how many cars you've sold, right? We utilize this data to help identify potential market trends. Really, really key phrase there, right? That we can then proactively make campaign adjustments towards based on what we see the market trending in. Okay, that's the big piece. So when you're in the market data, it's going to auto default to new. And if you don't have a custom market built for a dealership, it'll actually auto default to a 60-mile radius around that dealership. So the one thing you should always look to do is make sure you shrink that radius. So you can see for this dealership, they have the DMA, but like what Fernando showed you before, if you can go into the custom market area, you can select a custom market if you've built one. If you haven't, you can go into distance band and you can select these and you say, I want 0 to 10 miles. If you select 0 to 10 and to 10 to 20, you'll actually get 20-mile radiuses, right? So to get a 30-mile radius of the dealership, you want to select all three of these, right? Just a quick way to look at the dealership from a 30-mile radius. Um, the map, if the dealer is a current customer and has DMS access, you can actually filter this and show their DMS. You can look at total market sales and decrease the shading, right? When it's your market sales, the darker areas is where that dealership is selling more, right? The lighter areas is where they're not. And when you flip it, you can see the opposite, right? Which could be good. Like, where are my opportunities in my market? Anybody that is like me and loves a good map, you'll do that. And then you can see the overlay that Fernando covered. This, like when you're talking about what dealers really, really want to know about when they jump on a pure like call with Pure Cars, and as well as like one of the reasons they sign on with Pure Cars is we can help them answer questions that others can't, right? Like they want to know what's happening in my market. Also, like what is my competition doing, right? Like how am I performing right now in comparison to where what's happening in my market? And then Pure Cars help me. What should I do, right? Uh, so what you're looking at here is inside this dealership's custom market, their DMA, all new car sales for their OEM, and then their competitors who also have sold new cars here, right? And now you can actually see like green is obviously good and red is bad, right? And you can get an idea of how this dealership is performing. And oh God, I got to tell you guys, I really like this report. So I'm going to take that. That's really good. So what you want to do here is first, when you're talking to a dealership, how they're performing, you want to start high level, right? Here's you versus your competitors, what we see happening in the market. Looks like you're doing really great. We saw your market share jump up from 14% to 17%. Notice how I'm talking about their market share, right? I'm not going to say we saw you sell 400 cars this last 6 months compared to 1,600 the previous month. Don't do that. Don't do that, right? You want to go market share based because that's what I'm trending towards, right? So I'm seeing that your market share is going up. That's great. You've also used to be the third ranked dealer in this market. Now you're number two. That's awesome news. We're seeing you have growth in this market. This is actually going to help with my story of why I'm starting to see sale volume for this dealership trend down, right? Which we'll talk about in the custom reports. And if you guys have any reports that you like in there, let me know. I'm watching the chat. It's also worth noting, like, hey, AutoNation Chevy of Doral, we're seeing them grow a little bit. I'm gonna pause there, Mr. or Mrs. Dealer. Like, are you feeling that a little bit? Like, are you feeling their growth in your showroom? Are you hearing this from your sales managers, your GSMs, your BDC teams? Like, are you feeling like an increase of shopping coming from that dealership? I'd really love your perspective because I'm not in the ears of your salespeople and I don't get to talk to your customers like you do. Let them talk, right? Like they love talking about their customers and what they're having going on in their market, right? From there, just because your market share is going up doesn't mean that there's not opportunities for you, right? Like I'm not going to pack it in and set it and forget it. There might be other areas that we can see you having some growth on. Well, now I'm going to take that high level and I'm going to go model by model and I'm going to say, look, we're flat on Chevy Silverados. This is the vehicle that keeps the lights on for you, right? You're selling, you got about a 20% market share and you're stable there, which is great. It's a top model. You're selling about one out of every five Chevy Silverados in your target market. That's great. I think we could be doing a little bit better there though. So we'll keep our focus and our foot on the gas on that vehicle. We're seeing growth in your Equinox sales, which is great. However, I'm starting to see your Chevy Traxxas trend down. Now, I like as what you never want to do is you never want to assume that because they're not selling, it's because like there's a problem on our side or marketing or something like that. Like you want the dealership's perspective on this, right? So does that gut check for you, Mr. or Mrs. Dealer? Are you feeling your Chevy Trax sales go down? And would you say this is more you're losing to the market, or is this an inventory related issue? I'm curious. What is your perception on that, right? Get their feedback on it because this could, what makes Pure Car special, right? Is that we can go deeper into this vehicle and we can have conversations about merchandising. We can have conversations about, if it isn't inventory, then what is it, right? But before I spend another dollar on this vehicle, I need to hear it from you, Mr. or Mrs. Dealer, of why I'm seeing this vehicle trend the wrong direction. And you have that conversation all the way down, except for Corvette, because if you're marketing Corvettes, it must be a very unique ask, right? So also massive fan of this report, so I'm gonna pin that, guys.
Can I ask you,
And I'm actually gonna go into inventory now because I identified a model that this dealership should be focusing on or that we should be talking about. Right. And now this screen, I love this screen. This is the revamped smart advertising screen where we can look at this vehicle. We can look at their merchandising and I can get a better idea of like what could be going wrong here. So now that I'm scrolling down here, like I want to be able to see each individual car and how they're performing, right? And here's my tracks. Okay. So it looks like your 45-day turn rate, you're at 42. Like if I'm looking at reading this right, we might be low on Trax inventory. That could be the issue, but merchandising isn't bad, right? Demand is pretty solid. We're interest in this car. We're seeing a lot of shoppers for that car, right? So this doesn't seem to me like it's going to be something that you need to go deal with the guy that takes pictures of your cars, or you might need to look at like repricing this car. It seems like you're in line with the market. Maybe our focus on this model could increase, right? Maybe we can double down on that, right? Like we know that the Chevy Trax, when it comes to activity, might not get as much activity as the Equinox and the Silverado. So maybe it needs a custom campaign or two, right? Really strong screen there. Now I'm going to bounce out to this page here, just the overview of Pure Insights page, because I want to look at some other information on this dealer and why this guy loads. Gonna catch up on the chat. You weren't wrong on Miami Lakes. I don't know what I said. Did I say Miami Lakes? I don't know if I did that. All right, so here we are, back to the overview page.
It's an inside joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I missed it. That goes right over my head, guys. So looking at this overview page, I love the sales information that comes from the DMS. That's a really good report, right? Conversions, nice report. Average 30-day shoppers. I love talking about 30-day shoppers. I've seen like some of our AEs like Chris Thompson do a really good job at that. But there's a really cool visual one here. Ooh, I love this report, right? Like this looks like a marketing funnel, right? Like our job is to make sure that we have a marketing mix for our customers that like allows them to refill the funnel, that we're focusing on the low funnel customers as well as the high funnel customers. The dealer has a continuous pipeline of customers. And this report right here tells that story so well. So I'm going to select this guy. And then I'm going to dive right into the My Report section here. Unless is there another report anybody likes to use before I jump in here? Looks like
I occasionally throw on the calls by campaign.
Calls by campaign. Let's go to find that guy. So, I might have something like that. I lost my mouse. Let's go to advertise, go to calls. That's a good one, Carl. So calls by campaign. Is that going to be Look at this. Top 15 search campaigns by call. Look at this report. I'm going to be honest with you. I learned something new because I always spend my time in the conversions tab. So that's a good report. All right. Ad spend per unit sold. That's a good one too, Neil. Let's see here. Let's go to overall. That's going to live on the overall page. Okay, that's a great question from Dan. We'll wait for this guy to load before I jump into the My Market tab. All right. Yeah, so the shopper funnel, by the way, Dan, like the way I talk about that, it's all based on like engagement, right? Like we know from like this is the story to tell. Pure Cars has a data warehouse. We have transactions on every single vehicle that's ever been sold, right? The access to the DMS, like we see across our entire customer database what customers are doing on their website from the first time they touch the website to when they're driving off the lot. So we get an idea of what shopper activity looks like, and based on that activity, we're able to kind of gauge where customers are going from like, hey, they landed on your website, they're a little more model focused here, or they're not model focused, they're high level focused, they might be higher funnel, and then we bucket them like that, and then tell that story all the way down. And our goal is to stay in front of a customer throughout their entire purchase journey, which can take 90 to 120 days. And we know that like the least amount of time that customers spend shopping for a car is spent on Google, because Google's a pipeline. It's not a destination. It gets you to your destination, right? We need to make sure that we're visible on all relevant customer destinations, whether that be social, OTT, display, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Google search, we just need to be there when that at that moment of truth, right? When they're searching. So my report here. All right. So here is the My Report page that I've already started customizing, right? And I'm going to throw in, I want to see how we're doing the last 30 days compared to the previous period. Apply. All right. So imagine jumping on this on a client call and seeing red on sales, right? Like everybody get a little bit squirmy how to handle that conversation. It could be a little uncomfortable, right? Right? Our job is to tell a story. And I purposely chose this one because I wanted to tell the story of what could be happening there. But first, we added some really good reports in here. So I'm going to go down and find my reports and customize this. So at the top here, I can hit edit, and I'm going to drag this funnel up here. Ooh, let's see. I want to tell a story, right? So I know the shopper story can kind of tell me how we're doing in regards to the traffic we're driving. And so like, I think I'm going to put that right here because that's something I want to touch on early on as I scroll through this page and talk to the dealer. So I'm going to put it here, and then check out this little corner thing here. I'm going to stretch it out and just make it look like a little bit of elongating the funnel there. It might not go all the way, but that's okay, right? And then we got inventory, we got market data. Now I got my top models. Great, great, great. Looks like everything is doing the way I want it to do. Make sure this is going good here. Now, what's really cool about this is, I don't know if anybody's ever noticed this, but like, see how these reports got stuck on the last 6 months, right? And that's okay because these are the last 6 months. When you edit, did you guys know that you can adjust time range specific to certain tiles, and then you can lock it. So while like reports that you want to show the last 30 days, right? You can have it do that, but reports like, data like that feed on Polk data, or you want to do a report maybe that gives you a better like, hey, this is you over the last 30 days. This is that same data point, maybe year over year, however you want to do it, you can lock that in and you can send that to that customer so they can see that information, right? And so now this report here, I can walk through and I can, when I'm preparing for my call, I can tell a really good story, right? And shout out to Erin Williams because like she has a setup that's similar to this. And I, like all geniuses do, I stole some of this and I added my little sprinkles on top of her beautiful cupcake. But this is kind of the Erin Williams report, right? And now you can kind of see here's your total sales, your total ROs, what your ad spend is. Here's your new sales, right? And oh, you know what? Actually, I think I want to, before I talk new sales and before I start talking traffic on your website, I want to look at your inventory, right? And you know what? Where's my comparison report? Oh, yeah, this report is so good, guys. And I'll walk you through it here in a second. I'm going to tell you guys a really good story, so get cozy. All right. All right. Come here, buddy. All right. all in real time, guys. Perfect. So what I'm noticing with this dealership is, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Dealer, we're starting to see your sales trend down month over month over the last 30 days, right? Your ROs are also on the way down. Our ad spend, like we're continuing to pump money into that market, right? When I look at your sales, it's a little bit, it's almost even. Like we're seeing new and used struggle a little bit, like as a volume play goes, right? And this is exactly why you called me, wanted to have this call, because I would imagine you're feeling this in your showroom, right? And now if I scroll down, one of the things that first came to my mind when you told me your sales were down was like, well, what's our inventory like, right? That's what I really care about. Like if your sales are going down, is that reflective of maybe us not having as much inventory over the past time? And you're actually going to see here that our inventory, it kind of looks like we're trending down a little bit, right? Like you can see this blue line right here, that's us. Our inventory this month is actually on its way down. And same thing a little bit for used cars, right? Are you expecting like an increase of allocation coming in soon? Like, because obviously inventory is really dependent on getting customers, down to that low funnel and ready to buy. And as I look at that, I built this report for you. And what this is comparing is how many vehicles you have in stock. This blue trend line right here, unfortunately, I'd love to see that go up and to the right. And your sales in units, which is the darker line, and you're gonna see that like your inventory is up at the highest marks, we're at a higher trend. But over time, you can see that that is also slowly going down and to the right. Now, the good news is like it's not going as deep as like your inventory. So that means your sales are stabilizing more than your inventory is going down, but we're still seeing it trend down, right? So inventory to me is one of the biggest issues that I'm seeing right now as to why we might be your volume going down on here. Now, to make you feel a little bit better about what's happening is we are seeing some real engagement on your website. The customers that we're seeing come to your website, they are engaged. And what's really interesting is you can just tell when they want that specific model, right? That year, make, model, trim. Like I want that Chevy Equinox with like the white leather seats and like the rear heated seat, like rear heated seats, or whatever special feature they can have, or the one with the black rims instead of the silver rims, whatever that might be, right? Like they're just, that little piece is missing, and that is tied back to inventory, which is what we just covered up here. But the story that I'm seeing here is you have a lot of engaged shoppers and they're hungry for the right piece of inventory. So that does not mean we need to take our foot off the gas, especially if you have allocation coming in, right? And now we can go down here, and now what I can show you is I built two maps right here. One can show for spend and one is for sales, right? And this allows me to get an idea is like, hey, are we spending in the right areas of the market of where customers are buying, right? So let's just scroll down right here and zoom in, and now you can see this is where you typically see, this is where the majority of our money is being spent, right, over the last 6 months. And I'm gonna do the same here, and you'll see I have this guy filtered to sales. I'm gonna zoom in and drive up here. All right, just imagine if you could travel that fast. All right. And they are pretty much in line, right? Like that's kind of what you want to see. Like you don't want to see any areas where we have a lot of high spend and not a lot of sales. So that cost per sale and the areas that you're selling cars and where we're spending your money is in line. So based on these two reports that I have right here, I'm confident that where we're targeting and the customers we're bringing in are good quality traffic and they will buy from you, right? Going a little bit further, let's have the story about market share again, right? Like volume is going down. We can't control what's happening in like how many customers are going to buy cars in the market for whatever time period or whatever month. But what we'd like to believe we have influence on is how big of that pie you're going to get, and your share of that pie is growing bigger. Like, and that's exactly what we want to see. Both of your stores actually are seeing growth. We're seeing a little bit from AutoNation, right? But it's really great to see that you're selling more cars in your backyard. All right, and now scrolling back down a little bit further. Top search. This is your report, Carl. I love it. Right now we can kind of see what campaigns are driving phone calls. So, if inventory is an issue and you're telling me like I just need to get these guys on the phone because I can put them in a different car, these are the campaigns that are driving there, and we can ensure that these campaigns are fully funded. So we're getting those phone calls so your people can flip them. All right. Scroll down a little bit more. Has anybody used the filter function on conversions? So I can just take this off and I'll see all the conversions, but I know that my customer just wants to talk about leads. And so I can filter by leads and I can talk about where we're seeing leads come from. Right. And yeah, we're going to see leads come down when you don't have the inventory. You're not going to see as many people want the leads. And you can do this on every single report just to view the lead options and just to have that lead conversation if that's what your customers want to have. Right. Same thing with display conversions. Filter that out and go lead. All right. Who wants this report?
Yes, please.
Justin's parents. Secret house. All right. Let's do time of day, morning, night. Let's see. We're gonna send it monthly just for fun. Like 1 or more days. You know what? I don't think I'm gonna schedule report this one. No, that's all right. Let's use the schedule report. It'll be fun. All right. Time of day, morning, monthly. What's today? The 14th? Boom, boom. All right. Mountain time zone is the best time zone. Come at me, bro. All right. And how about we go? I'm gonna pull up the CX All AE one. Any questions while I'm getting this report pulled up and pulling up this email address so I don't get it wrong?
I have a question on
Bring
the conversions. You're in the calls. That's where you pulled that from that you're adding for calls. But when you go into conversions and you look at search conversions, they're not, all the conversion types aren't labeled. So I can't sort out like the calls or, you know, it's tougher to sort them out from there. And I see a couple different sections where it says like clicks to call, calls from ads, whatever, but there's no conversion type on it, so I can't sort it out.
Got it. So there is an area where we can adjust that, and so you can sorry, there's a lot of questions. There's an area back in the back end of Pure Insights in the CRM where you can go through and look at all the conversions, and you can like filter those and make sure if anyone's not labeled, you can get it, you can label it there. I don't have that up on this call right now, but that is something that I can have a video created for, and I can send it out to you guys so you can see how that's done.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep. All right. Good question, though. That's a really good call out because that's important. Anything else while I'm pulling up this guy?
Gonna make a mention if we have any time, but under, I don't know if anybody even knows or uses, but under advertises website analytics, it's the most digestible version of information any client or any GM, any owner can understand immediately.
100%.
I'm sorry, say that one again?
It's underneath advertise on website and analytics. It breaks their analytics down by model. So
Ooh.
they understand the models, they understand inventory. So to see shopper growth and VDP growth. So if you're in the Subaru program recently, as a question that Carly asked is what you could show is that the tweaks made, because our only focus is improvement, is to go to that website analytics and show the amount of user growth, VDP growth, and traffic that's been to the models despite what might be feedback contrary to what they believe.
That's awesome feedback. Thanks, Sean.
That's okay. I think I'm gonna pull up that report. That's actually
I
really
use
good.
that one on every call, Sean. It's like, look, the campaigns. Remember we did this last month or 2 months ago. We started focusing on your 1500s. Look at the growth and the traffic to the VDP views now. Like I use that all the time for stuff like that.
All right.
Advertise.
Website analytics. Yeah, I know exactly what report you're talking about. This is a good one. I'm gonna add it to my report. This is the winner, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. That's a good report.
It also helps me when they say, like, I can't get rid of my new trucks. I'm like, well, yeah, you have like a great selection of used 2023s and 2024s. Why would I pay? You better have a really great offer for me. And they're like, oh, crap, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, this is a beautiful report. Yep. One of the things that I personally like to always talk about too, especially along the merchandising level, is if you think about where some campaigns drop customers off on the website or the typical customer flow, right? Like majority of a dealership's website traffic lands on their home page. So the next page that they're going to land on to get inventory is an SRP page, right? So I always like to look at how well we're converting SRP views into VDP views and have a conversation about site flow. Like your job, you're the retail arm of your OEM. Your job is to get customers to the vehicle they want, in the easiest and most simplest way possible. So A to B, how do we get them there, and how easy is it to find the car I want, right? And then help them look at their website and how they have their sorting filtered, what it looks like to get there, right? And then you fall into a merchandising conversation, right? That's a really great conversation to have.
Hey, JDabs, when scheduling a report, if you select the 31st of the month, let's say I want my dealer wants to get that report last day of the month, right?
Yep.
If I select the 31st, but the month doesn't have a 31st, what happens?
That is a great question.
That is a good question.
Could you schedule it
We'll
for the
find out.
because every month has a first for the previous month?
You can. I wouldn't recommend scheduling reports on the first. All platforms have their own kind of lag
Oh.
that we try to pull in as soon as possible. So I would put it around the second or the third, just to ensure that you get as much data as possible for the previous month.
Yep.
But we will find out what happens if you only select the 31st.
It probably goes to the same place as the second page of Google.
Ah,
Perhaps.
Sean, you're on fire today.
Too much.
Yeah. It's very rare, very rare.
I actually exclusively only shop the second page of Google Rebel. All right. Any other questions, thoughts we could have before I dive into what is coming down the pipe? All right. So conquest data. So just to clarify, when I talk about conquest data, I consider conquest as I'm a Chevy dealer and I want to go after Ford. Okay, so know that I'm talking about it in that term. In high level overview, right? Like you're running a dealership, right? Your OEM does not want you cannibalizing all of its other OEM points by going after them, right? Like they want to see what your market share is on Silverados versus F-150s. They have expectancy for you to outsell and grow your market share in that specific segment, right? So same thing happens here. I'm going to adjust this. Go back here, previous range, don't really care. And so the way that we've built out the way that we built out market conquest reports here in Pure Insights is by the DMA level, right? So, and that's actually how the OEM will actually judge how they're performing in that market and if they need to make a change. So like when an OEM heavy up comes into play, you can pretty much guarantee that they were looking at their market share and they were like, we don't like how much inventory we have of this core model and how little or how less how little share we're gaining, or the fact that we're losing share right now. We need to bump up spend. So we're going to push a heavy up across all of our dealers in order to push this model and get our dealers to align to help us like grow our share in this segment. So you'll see that up here, you can go into DMA and you can adjust the DMA to see how everybody is doing. So I'm going to select the Mile High City for selfish reasons. And now you can adjust like the time frame I'm looking at, we're comparing it, and you look at this the exact same way, right? Now, when it first pulls, you're actually going to see every single body style and every single model in that market and what is the top, like which ones are growing the most in market share the same way you were before, as where you're also going to see the top selling dealers, right? I personally like to break this down by body segment because those are the conversations you're having at the model level. Like I'm a Chevy Silverado dealer and I have really, really strong market share. Does anybody have a dealership that might be a little bit more rural or is just so dominant that they're in their market area, they got 70% plus market share and it's always kind of hard to have a conversation about how they're going to get more cars?
Any
Is that a
Volvo
conversation you
dealer?
guys- Yeah, Volvo's a really good one. So you can actually go into, I'm going to go into, we have the OEM segments. I'm going to go into segments in general, and I'm just going to look at how we're performing at segments, and I can filter. I just want to look at my segment here. So Volvo is really going to care about luxury sport utilities, right? Or SUV. So I'm going to go here, vehicle segment, and I'm going to save myself some time. See if luxury is a phrase I can type in here. So here's a compact utility, compact. Give me a full size.
Justin, sorry. So we're almost out of time. There's only a
Okay.
few seconds left. This report is exciting, but I just want to like reiterate, this is a brand new set of reports that will be made available to everyone on Monday at some point during the day, where you're going to be able to see other markets outside of just a specific dealer's market. You can select any DMA region to view market data for.
Yep.
And this will be on. You'll see how Justin's menu on the left looks a little different than probably what you're used to. You will see it exactly the same way come Monday.
Yep. Thanks for keeping me fair on time. I'm very bad at that.
No problem.
Yeah. But we will have training on how to talk about conquest data, guys. So you feel comfortable talking about it in front of your customers. But great stories to tell here as well to help understand why you may not be moving models, right? And where you can gain the opportunity outside of just your OEM. All right, guys. That is it. If you have any additional questions, just hit me up individually. I'm happy to answer them, and I'm sure Fernando is as well.
Sure. Thanks everyone for
Thanks, guys,
joining.
so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
We need like a official pure cars goodbye.